Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live video. And I'm just out here on my page getting everything refreshed and set up so that hopefully I can see you guys coming in and leaving comments and whatever. So if you are joining live, I would love for you to say hello. And if you're watching the replay, that is just awesome too. So it looks like I'm live and it looks like I am in the spot where I wanted to be out on my business page. So all good news so far. So, hey, Christine, I see Sarah is here as well. Thanks for joining. And Catherine is hopping in. So looks like we've got a nice little crew. So and I see Karen is here as well. So again, thanks for joining. And today I'm going to show you, hey Nancy, glad you're here today too. So I am going to show you really quickly how I made this card with the Here's a Card stamp set. I also use the birch stamp set, which I'll show you in just a second, but this is the card we're going to be making today. So it's been a kind of a crazy busy morning, as I don't know if you know or saw it on my blog today, but the demonstrator pre-order started today, so that's always an exciting time for demonstrators and, you know, crazy busy day of ordering and all that sort of thing. So the pre-order started today. So if you are interested in joining as a demonstrator, you can also add items from the new annual catalog pre-order list to your starter kit, which is a huge bonus. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know. Have any questions about it? I would love for you to join our team. We've got a nice little group of people who like to stamp and love Stampin' Up. So let me know if you have questions about that. So yours shipped already, Karen? I haven't seen the shipping notice on mine, so now I'm worried. Hopefully mine ships out soon. I did happen to hit that button that said overnight on it, so I may or may not have some things to show you tomorrow. Okay, I will. So hopefully I'll have a minute to hop on and be able to show you all the stuff that I get. So all right. Hey, Patricia, thanks for joining today. So, all right. So let's get going on this before I get too distracted by the stuff that's coming tomorrow. Got to show you what we're doing today. So, okay. So the stamp set that I used for the sentiment is from the Here's a Card stamp set, which this one is in the annual catalog. It's a good one full of different sentiments for inside and outside cards, which is really nice. And I just used the happy birthday sentiment from here. So, hey, Kay, I'm glad that you're here. And I see Danette is here as well, so that's fantastic. Thanks for joining. The other stamp set that I used on the outside of this card is actually the birch stamp set. Well, and it's actually technically just a single background stamp. But this set I also used today, and again, this one is from the annual catalog, and that is what I stamped the background of the card with. Since, as you know, the wood grain paper is going away, although we do have an awesome new pack coming. But this one, it's a very good substitute. This is an excellent one to have as a background stamp. You can stamp it in any color, which is a nice little bonus, and stamp it on any color, which is also a nice little bonus. Then on the outside of the card, I also used the Poppy Moments dies, which are in the Occasions catalog, or Occasions, the mini catalog, and they are actually carrying over and going to be in the next annual catalog, so I'm very excited about that. So thanks, Patricia. I liked the way it looked. I like flowers on the wood grain backgrounds for whatever reason. I love the way that looks. So, so anyway, so I used a couple of the dies from this die set, which again is the Poppy Moments dies, and they're back in stock. If they were out of stock when you tried to purchase them earlier this year, they are back. So I used this one, the larger outline one, for the flirty flamingo background, and then I cut Calypso Coral with this one, and then the little flower centers, I actually used the two pieces here and cut them from basic black, and then the leaves are soft seafoam and mint macaron. Actually, mint macaron was the more detailed piece, and soft seafoam is the more solid piece. So again, those are the dies that I used from that die set for this card. So the inside of the card I actually stamped with the painted poppies, just two of the images from the painted poppies stamp set, which just those two kept it pretty simple on the inside. So we've got that stamp set. And then a couple of other things that I used, just because I can't seem to do anything without this die set. This is the Ornate Layers dies, which is a new set of dies that are from the annual catalog, and they're available as a pre-order for everyone. So everybody can order these. It was starting April 1st, I think it was. I can't even remember what day it started. But anyway, they're available for everybody to purchase. Hey, Jerry, glad that you are here. So this is a great set of dies. They are currently on back order, I will tell you that, but they are due back in stock May 11th, which isn't so very far away. So I'm hoping that these dies should be back in stock soon. So if you've ordered them and they're back ordered, know that they'll be in soon. If you haven't ordered them yet, get on ordering them because they'll be back in soon. So anyway, this is actually bundled with a different stamp set from the annual catalog called Ornate Style, but you can also just get the dies if you are interested in those. And then the last thing that I used, which again is another one of those that I can't seem to stop using, and it's the Stitched Rectangles dies. And I used the second to the largest one here, and that's what I cut out the background piece with. So let me set those aside quickly and put my card up and out of the way, and we will get stamping. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I just have a piece of white vellum that I am going to stamp the sentiment on. And I'm going to do that first just because it takes a second on the vellum to dry. Even though I'm using StazOn jet black ink, which does dry fairly quickly, it still just sort of needs a moment on the vellum. So I stamped that a little bit extra early. I'm going to stamp it ahead of time. And then I'm going to set it aside and try not to put my fingers on it anywhere so that I don't smudge it, because yeah, I probably will. I'm going to set it aside, and like I said, keep my fingers crossed that, that I don't smudge it, but I will set it up over here with the dies, and like I said, hopefully won't make a mess of anything with it. All right, the next thing that I did is I've got kind of an oversized piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I think this one is, I don't even know, I didn't really measure it, I just know it was oversized. So it's about 5 3/4 by 4.5, which is way bigger than what you need it to be. But I do recommend cutting it a little bit larger than the piece that you're actually going to need to die cut from, just because sometimes the larger background stamps, I have trouble not getting them stamped exactly straight. So I find that if I have the larger piece of cardstock, I can always trim away the edges, but if you get it stamped on there crooked, it's kind of hard to get it fixed. So if it's not oversized. So again, this is the Birch stamp, which is one of the background stamps from the annual catalog. And I have got Sahara Sand ink, and I'm just inking up the background image here. Looks like I've got some good coverage on there. Hey, Diane, I'm glad that you're here. And I see Jean is here as well, and Beth, so thanks so much. And Beth has already ordered this morning. Yes, I was on rather early ordering. So, and like I said, and I accidentally somehow hit that overnight button again. So my stuff should be here early tomorrow, hopefully, if all goes well from UPS. So, all right, so I'm just smooshing this down and giving it a second to hopefully get the ink pretty well transferred. And as you can see, I did stamp it a little crooked, which again is okay because I have an oversized piece of cardstock that I started with. And I'm just going to take my stitched rectangle framelit die, and I'm just going, or stitched rectangle die, no longer framelit, sorry, stitched rectangle die, and I'm just going to run it through my die cutting machine and cut out the piece of the image that I actually want. So again, my one little tip when you're using the larger rectangle dies is to turn it a little bit to the side as you're going to roll it through the die cutting machine so that your rollers don't hit that hard bump here and cause trouble. First, it's hard to roll through, and secondly, it doesn't cut very nicely when it hits the really solid edge. So put it in just at an ever so slight angle and it'll roll through much easier, I promise. And did I get up in the middle of the night? Actually, I did not. Because I don't know, I guess when you're expediting like I do many things, you have until 11 o'clock Mountain Time to get your order put in. So I was not in a huge hurry, although I did get up early, not in the middle of the night, because I'm actually on Eastern time zone and we couldn't even order until 5 a.m. Eastern time zone. So I did not have to get up terribly early to get my order put in. So as Nancy is asking, do you use a roller when you're doing background stamp? I don't, but you certainly could. If you find that to be easier, you can use a brayer to put ink onto the stamp. I generally have had good luck with just flipping it upside down and patting the ink over the top of it. I don't ever try to flip the stamp face down and try to ink it up that way over the top of an ink pad. But if I hold the stamp face up and then put the ink to it, I usually have good luck getting good coverage because I can see what I'm doing. But however it works best for you, you certainly, if it works easier for you to put it on a roller, you could definitely do that. So, all right, so I've got the panel cut here for the card front. And just going to use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to adhere it on. And someday I'll clean the big glue boogers off this bottle. I know it's kind of gross, but I don't know. They just come back every time I try to wipe them off. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this onto the card front. And again, I'm lining it up here, putting it on my grid paper, and lining it up hopefully getting it straight. The grid lines I'm using to sort of help my eye see what's straight on here and what's not. So I think I've got it on here fairly straight. So, all right, let me set this up and out of the way. And the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my sentiment that I had stamped in Stays On jet black ink, and it looks like it's pretty well dry. So I am going to take the die from the Ornate layers. I guess I can hold that over here. The one kind of solid, not fancied rectangle. All the rest of these are all fancy dies except the plain one, and the plain one is the one, of course, that I'm using today. And I'm going to cut out the sentiment. I am going to slide it so that the sentiment is a little bit off to the left-hand side, just because of the way the card layout worked out for me. I need it to be a little bit off to the left-hand side. And again, this is another one of those dies that if you can angle it through your die cutting machine a little bit, it will roll through much easier. Sometimes you can't, depending on the cardstock you're working with, but if you can, definitely try that. And I'm going to hope that I get it put on here straight and cut straight. That's always my worry, is I can usually get all this to work great when I'm stamping it by myself, and then I get here on camera and then I'm wrestling with it, or I get it cut crooked. And right now I'm wrestling with it a little bit. For whatever reason, it is the die is just not wanting to behave itself. I have a magnetic platform on here, and the die is wanting to go one way, and I don't want it to go that way. And so we're right now having a little discussion about that. So, all right, so let me see if I can get this to go through. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm kind of over here off to the side. All right, and of course I get it all lined up, and then didn't have the platform on straight, and so now of course it moved. So apparently I should have grabbed my sticky notes. All right, hope that I got this on the first try cut. I think I got it fairly straight. So, all right. So now after my little wrestling match, we're going to go ahead and, of all things, cut this into two pieces. And I'm going to cut it so that it's a little bit closer over to the right-hand side. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue underneath this area, which again will be hidden once we've adhered the flowers on over the top of it, which that was my goal in where I put the glue, is I wanted it to be hidden, because vellum, as you know, you can see through usually the globs of glue. So even when you're sticking on the second piece of it, which is significantly smaller, you definitely still want to keep the glue over to the center where it's going to be covered by your flower images. And I've just basically lined up the vellum so that the die cut is right even with the edges of the card. So hopefully you can see that on here after I've done that. So, all right, so let me scoot that up a little bit, and then I'm going to pull out. I went ahead, so again, you didn't have to listen to my wrestling match that I just had with the die cutting machine and pre-cut some of the images here from cardstock. So, and I've got one of the leaves is already glued together, because I figured you didn't need to, again, watch me sit and glue every single piece together. But the background is cut from Flirty Flamingo, and the layered overlay is cut from Calypso Coral. And I'm just putting a little bit of liquid glue in the middle of this one, rather than trying to worry about getting the edges all glued down, because they're really narrow. And I would have glue stuck everywhere, because I'm just not a very good gluer person. I usually just put it in the middle on this particular die cut, because there's really no reason for it to be all the way out to the edges, since it's a layered piece anyway. So again, Flirty Flamingo and Calypso Coral are the colors that I used on this flower. Adhering that together, and these are from the Poppy Moments dies. Again, I probably forgot to say that. But this is cut from Basic Black, which this is another one of those from the Poppy Moments dies, and I'm just going to adhere that right over the center of the die cut we've already got going. So I'm glad you like the color combination. That's, you know, it's fun to kind of come up with different ones with this set. You can do almost anything. I mean, I've seen them even done in blue, which is, it's really pretty, no matter how you do it. So another one of the die cuts from the Poppy Moments dies, and it's just as kind of a layering piece for the flower center, just using a little bit of liquid glue to stick that down. And then we're going to use a couple of my little half Stampin' dimensionals, which I'm finding people either love or hate them, and that's okay. Whatever camp you're in, I'm in the I love them camp, but if you are not, it's okay. We can still be friends. So, all right, so I'm going to come over here to my card front, and hopefully show you on camera. I think I'm actually going to flip it maybe. I'm just trying to figure out how it's going to fit on here best. I think we'll go on here this way. Yeah, I think, yeah. Will that work? Yeah, I think that'll work. So, all right, so we've got that adhered down. A couple little Stampin' dimensionals. And then same thing here. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere. Make sure that I'm putting it on the right side. Well, the wrong side of the die cut. Mint macaron die cut. And I'm adhering it to a piece that I had cut. Oh, I almost tried to put my glue in my scissors. Little piece that I had cut from soft seafoam cardstock. So just going to adhere the two pieces together here. Try to get them lined up. All right, so Karen saying she loves half dimensionals, and Jerry as well. See, so that it's more than just me out there that, that loves them. And then after the work of gluing everything together, I'm actually going to snip off the ends of this particular die cut, just because I tuck it up under the flower. And so the stems, when they stick out that far, sometimes kind of get stuck in the wrong spot with the Stampin' dimensionals. They don't always want to stay on there as well as I want them to. So, all right. So my only question is, I turned the flowers, so I should probably turn I think I'm actually going to turn these as well. I think I'm going to put those in a different spot just because I can. So, going to make it a little slightly different card today. So, all right. So I just tuck these. Except I don't want the green to show up underneath there. Just tucking this up here underneath my die cut flower, and using a couple little glue dots to adhere the two leaves on. And again, just tucking it underneath like that. And last thing we need to do on the card front is to add a couple of embellishments. And I have just got the gold glitter enamel dots, which is another one of my favorite embellishments because they're so shiny and so pretty. I'm going to stick a couple of those on here. And again, these are currently available, and they are also in the new catalog. So they're something that was available. We thought it was only going to be temporarily available, but they're actually in the next catalog. So they are carrying over, which is nice. So, all right, so we have got the card front basically put together. The vellum is deciding it wants to stick up a little bit today, which is okay, because when it goes in the envelope, it will lay down flat eventually. So two card fronts, a little different look on the flower, but that's how we do the card fronts. So I'm going to set this aside here and pull out the piece for the inside of the card. Let me get my junk all out of the way. And I've got the outline flower image from the Painted Poppy stamp set, as well as the kind of fill-in flower image. The outline I'm going to be stamping in Stays On Jet Black ink, so that it coordinates with the front. And I've got Flirty Flamingo for the inside, or the more, I guess the inside of the flower. I guess that's the way you could say it. So, and yes, I'm glad that they're carrying over. I love them as well, and I'm glad that you all are too. So, all right. I'm sorry if I'm missing comments. I probably am. So I just realized that a bunch of them kind of flew through and I missed a couple. So if I've missed any questions on anything, I will definitely go back after the fact and do a little rereading and make sure I didn't miss anything for questions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp this image 3 times. And while I am doing that, I did want to remind you that the closeout sale, the retirement sale, is actually going on from Stampin' Up! Right now. So they are retiring a whole pile of things. So if there's anything on that retiring list that you would like to get, make sure that you are getting your orders put in soon. Items on it, other than the stamp sets, are only available while supplies last. So that means the dies, the inks, the papers, the embellishments, all that stuff is only while supplies last. And the stamp sets are only available guaranteed to be available until May 15th. So get on getting your images or getting your items picked up if you haven't on the retiring list. And again, if you're interested in joining and being able to get a hold of some of the new catalog product, let me know, because we can definitely talk about that as well. So there's lots of really awesome stuff in the new catalog as well. And our pre-order list is kind of huge. So there's a lot of good stuff on it. All right, so that is the inside of the card. Just did a little bit of quick stamping with Flirty Flamingo and Stays On Jet Black ink. So Hey, Akiko, I'm glad that you're here. And thanks, Beth. I'm glad you like the card colors. It's, like I said, it's kind of fun to pick them out. And I went a little bit more subtle on this card, I think, than some of them that I've done in the past with the poppies. Since it kind of had a subtle background to start with, I just used that sort of as my base for the card and went with the more subtle colors on it instead of the brighter ones. So, all right, just adhering this in the card base with a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. So I'm going to give that 1 second to set up, and then we're going to fold it shut and do a little crease with the bone folder. All right, and there are the 2 cards. So this is the one that I had made ahead of time, and a little bit different look. The leaves are pointing down on this one. The flower's a different angle on it. And then this is the one we did today. So I just turned the flower a little bit, but the same basic card design. So hopefully you like them. Thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you guys being here. I will plan to be back out on my YouTube channel live at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Friday. And we'll be back here again on Facebook Live next week, Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll plan to be back out here as well. And if I can sneak in a few minutes between trying to teach school and everything else tomorrow, I may... Okay, I probably will hop on tomorrow after my pre-order gets here. So keep an eye out for it for me to be live, and I can show you some of the goodies that I'm getting from Stampin' Up. So definitely, yeah, take a look at if you are subscribed to my Facebook page. Make sure that you have the settings switched to all and see first, so that you will get notified when I go live, and you can take a peek at what I got in my pre-order. So again, thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will chat soon.